This is the Sunday stream opening song because the other song is copyrighted. La 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 la. Oh look, here comes Dog Cat Fox.
Hi, Sky.
Good morning, everyone, and welcome to the Sunday stream. The stream I do on Sundays because Sunday is the day to stream on Sundays. Hope you're all doing well on this beautiful Sunday morning. It's actually still kind of dark and gloomy out this time of the morning, but here we are. Raucous like a hurricane. It's Sunday, the last Sunday of 2024 before New Year's in the middle of the oncoming week. I'm not sure if I'll do a New Year's show or something. I might do something. Nothing planned. I don't have like a big marathon in mind like Thanksgiving or Christmas, but I might do something. We'll see. Depends on how things hash out. But either way, who's joining me on this beautiful Sunday morning? Let's see who we got here. We got Old Guy Gamer. Good morning. Kieverdam. Good morning, and thank you, Kieverdam, as always, for providing the links to the GoFundMes for our friends AJ, Ron Harushan, Angela Ariaga, and Kristen. If you guys can take a look at those, and if you can donate, please do so. But even if you can't, if you can share those out on social media, that would be appreciated. So thank you so much for that ahead of time, and thank you, Kieverdam, as always, for providing those links. Plague Trucker Zach, fever broke this morning. Well, good. I didn't know you had one. Was it cowbell? Did cowbell fix it? I hope it was cowbell. Anyway. Good to hear it, Plague Trucker Zach. Advocast Diaboli, good morning. The Alexander, good morning to you. JB, good morning. TFEorix, good morning. Kiro Soldier, good morning to you. Your internet's favorite lunatic, good morning. Who else is here? Meh, good morning. And Full Metal Joker, good morning to you. The Best Remy, good morning. Anybody else? Looking. Shadowclaw, ow. John Trioxen, good morning to you. I think, is that it? Oh, no, Jill Powers, the River Daughter. Good morning, Jill. Hope you're doing well. Shady Grin, good morning. Brian Morissette, good morning. And I think that's everybody that I see. If I missed you, if you're lurking, if you're in the future, good morning. Yes, we have gone through yet another week of interesting news and things going on in the world. I had all a bunch of streams this week, ambush streams or double streams, and then I'll be doing 2 streams today. Yes, just as an advertisement, at 11:30 Pacific time, which is 12:30, 1:30, 2:30 Eastern time today, Sunday. I'll be on the Latino Slant channel with Polly. I'm not 100% sure what we're talking about, but I have a notion it's going to be about immigration and employment, which has, oddly enough, since Polly first invited me last week, become a much bigger topic in the news over the last 3 or 4 days. So that'll be interesting, I hope, for his sake, if not mine. But otherwise, so looking forward to that later on this morning. But we have news, like Random American is here. Yeah, Random American is here. Did you know that? Well, now you know. So the news is done. Oh, and also Ostsand is here. Good morning, Ostsand. But we have, let's see, what should we start with? Let's start with, how about some DEI news, since I did some DEI stuff earlier on Friday morning into Saturday, because I couldn't sleep in my insomnia stream the other night. By the way, I will be doing a part 2 to finish up that panel discussion from the insomnia stream, because unbeknownst to me when I first got that video, I thought it was going to be a panel discussion in favor of DEI policies. I was happily surprised to be listening to a panel of individuals talking about their efforts to do away with DEI policies. But hey, happy surprises happen from time to time. But let's start out with some DEI news, just to have a bridge between the insomnia stream and today. Hopefully CNN isn't going to block me from reading this or something, since they have a subscription thing now. Costco is pushing back hard against the anti-DEI movement. Uh-oh. What is Costco doing? I have no idea. I haven't read this. Just saw the headline. I was like, what is Costco doing to push back against the anti-DEI movement? How is Costco fighting anti-discrimination movements? When you put it that way, it sounds a bit different, doesn't it? Doesn't it? Uh-oh. What'd I miss? I miss something? Oh, I apologize. Kira Soldier, my apologies. That completely got by me on the chat. That skipped by. I apologize. Thank you, Kira Soldier, for the happy, smiley, dancy, lovely dog cat fox. Oh, dog cat fox.
Wow! Wow!
Thank you so much, Kira Soldier. Apologies for that. The chat flew by so quick I missed it. And Keeverdam, a donation for a donation. Thank you, Keeverdam, for telling me that I missed the donation. You guys are so helpful. I appreciate it. Thank you so much. My flub. You know, that spinning moon background is a little too dark. I need something more Sunday morning. I had that going already. Let's put some morning in the back. There we go. Something a bit more sunny, a bit more bright. All right, let's learn how Costco is pushing back against the anti-DEI movement. Costco is battling an anti-DEI wave with a stern rebuke to activist shareholders looking to end the warehouse retailer's diversity ambitions. So Costco is recriminating its own shareholders for saying that the company's going in the wrong direction, eh? All right, Walmart, John Deere, Tractor Supply, and other companies are changing or walking away from diversity, equity, and inclusion, DEI policies. But Costco believes, and the operative term here is belief, DEI helps its treasure hunt shopping atmosphere and is standing behind its efforts. Wait a second. What? Okay, I really hope that they explain that one. How does DEI help in the treasure hunt atmosphere of wandering through a giant warehouse? Costco's board of directors unanimously recommended that its shareholders vote against a proposal brought by a conservative think tank, the National Center for Public Policy Research, that would require Costco to evaluate and issue a report on the financial risks of maintaining its diversity and inclusion goals. Well, there's the financial risk of A, there's no proof they actually pay off in the long run, and B, after the affirmative action decision by the Supreme Court, there is an inherent legal risk to continuing them that may result in, well, at least federal fines, if not perhaps other pursuits by the federal government under the Trump administration. So, just saying. The group criticized Costco for possible illegal discrimination, against employees who are white, Asian, male, or straight. These are all legitimate concerns, if you've been paying attention to anything over the last 2 years in particular. The National Center for Public Policy Research did not immediately respond to CNN's request for comment. Costco has a chief diversity officer and a supplier program that focuses on expanding with small and diverse businesses. Yes, so giving contracts to vendors on the basis of the color of their ownership, largely first and foremost. It also donates to organizations like the Thurgood Marshall College Fund that serves minorities and underrepresented groups. That's not nearly as legally tenuous as the first part. But moving on. Costco said its DEI efforts help the company attract and retain a wide range of employees, based on what? And improve merchandise and services in stores. How? Costco also said its members want to interact with a diverse employee base. Oh, so if the customers all said, I don't want to interact with anybody who isn't white, would Costco then be obliged to not hire anyone who wasn't white? Do you see the pitfalls here? I don't think you do. Quote, among other things, a diverse group of employees helps bring originality and creativity to our merchandise offerings, promoting the treasure hunt that our customers value. unquote, Costco said in its proxy statement to investors. I'd love to hear how. Quote, we believe and member feedback shows that many of our members like to see themselves reflected in the people in our warehouses with whom they interact, unquote. So Costco, if every Costco in Alabama had a member survey that said, I would like to see myself reflected in the people working at Costco, except I want them to all be white, what would you do to accommodate such demands? Oh, man, Costco has been overtaken. This is such classic boilerplate social justice DEI nonsense. Oh boy. The board went further in its recommendation to vote against the proposal, saying the think tank is masking its true anti-diversity agenda under the guise of reducing risk. It's both. And they don't have to hide it. Besides, it's not an anti-diversity agenda, it's an anti-discrimination agenda. And there is inherent risk. Again, I would just advise Costco to look at the Supreme Court decision in the colleges and the affirmative action case. The Supreme Court, in no uncertain terms, said that an argument to diversity does not indemnify an organization from the perils of being racially discriminatory under federal law. It certainly doesn't help under Title VI, and it will not help you under Title VII if anyone gets the gumption to try to put you to the test on it. So I'm just telling you, the risk is there, and it is a big one going forward. Probably more so under Trump. Well, actually, not probably. It is more so under Trump than it would ever have been under Biden, who basically just gave a pass to it. Costco said the NCPPR is inflicting burdens on companies with challenges to DEI, and the organization's broader agenda is to abolish diversity initiatives. Yeah, except it's not about abolishing diversity, it's about abolishing discrimination. You guys keep using the wrong D word in DEI, because that's the cover-up. That is what is under the guise here. DEI is operating under the guise of pushing the dictionary definition of diversity rather than the dictionary definition of discrimination. Quote, the proponent professes concern about legal and financial risk to the company and its shareholders associated with the diversity initiatives, the company said. Quote, the supporting statement demonstrates that it is the proponent and others that are responsible for inflicting burdens on companies with their challenges to long-standing diversity programs. You know, it was a big burden on the states and the institutions in the South when all of a sudden they had to start changing the laws after the Civil Rights Act was passed. These are long-standing traditions. We can't challenge these long-standing, inherent traditions, programs in our company, in our state and culture, because it's too disruptive, guys. Even if it's, morally the right thing to do, we put so much time and energy into this diversity initiative. Now they're asking us to stop them? Oh, man. JB, thank you so much. No kefir allowed. Costco's newest sign. Oh, jeez. Oh, man. Yeah, just... This is actually remarkable. This is so absolutely tone deaf to reality. Both what is going on in the culture today and exactly what they are promoting. They just can't see it. They don't want to see what they're doing. They can't make the comparisons to not that long ago history in what they're saying here. If Costco was the state of Alabama in the early 1960s, late 1950s, I don't know. Am I being too blunt with that? Am I simplifying things too much? The proponent's broader agenda is not reducing risk for the company, but abolition of diversity initiatives. Yes, abolition might actually be a good word to use in this context, although I don't think you used it in the way that you meant it to, all things considered. Costco released its proxy earlier this month, but the statement gained attention on social media this week. There's no single definition of DEI. This is CNN talking, by the way. There's no single definition of DEI, but it's generally a mix of employee training, employee resource networks, employee ERGs, employee resource groups, and recruiting practices to advance representation of people of different races, genders, and classes, people with disabilities, veterans, and even CNN puts veterans on the bottom of the list. Good job, CNN. Well, here's the thing, CNN. Advancing representation of people of different races, genders, in particular. Look up Title VII. You cannot do that. Or I should say that if you do that explicitly, you are testing fate. Tempting fate. Boy, my vocabulary this morning. You're tempting fate with the law. But yeah, veterans. Yeah, okay. The shareholder resolution contends that Costco's DEI practices are potentially discriminatory. It's not potentially. They are looking for employees on the basis of appearance. They just said so in their own statement. They want employees who their members see themselves in. Also with the vendors. Potentially discriminatory. They are demonstrably discriminatory. But Costco said its policies are legal and non-discriminatory. I beg to differ. They are explicitly discriminatory. You said so yourself in your own statement. And you're opening yourself up to massive legal retribution, I hope, soon from the federal government itself. It's one thing for these think tanks and these other independent entities to start putting out lawsuits against companies. What it really should be coming from is the federal government. The violations of Title VII, in particular with these companies, is so blatant and so obvious, and just waiting to have precedent set and a reminder put out there as to what the law is and has been since the 60s. It's an absolute shame it has not been done to this point. Of all the things that I hope Trump accomplishes in the next 4 years, it's really putting the screws to these companies on Title VII violations. If that doesn't happen, this is going to keep going. And it's not going to benefit anybody. Costco, which pays some of the highest wages in retail and is considered a progressive employer, I would agree with that part, is backing DEI at a moment when such initiatives are under attack from right-wing activists, legal groups, conservative customers, and President-elect Donald Trump's incoming administration. Good. The answer is good. Most companies are not abandoning DEI entirely. Yeah, they're still trying to cling on to it, but some are modifying terminology from DEI to inclusion or belonging in an attempt to fend off pressure. Companies are also advertising their efforts less prominently than they were in 2020 and 2021. Yes, thankfully, in large swaths, it is dying on the vine, but it is also, and here's the thing, it's going underground. Like they said here, they're just making it less obvious, less apparent, unless you know the terminology and the key words, the secret handshake of it all. Inclusion or belonging, right? Until there is some demonstrable precedent and example made of one of these big companies that participating in anything like DEI that discriminates employment, promotion, or vendor contracts on the basis of the race and or gender and or orientation of said persons, first and foremost. Until something comes down of a significant legal consequence, it will keep going. So, of all the companies, Costco is the most doubling down and not running away from it. I hope they experience some kind of downfall for that. Because they should, and every company that has participated in this should. And we should not wait until the statute of limitations on possible federal violations runs out until something is done. But that's just my thoughts on the subject. What are yours? Let me know in the comments below, or on X, where I'm simulcasting right now. Do I sound professional yet? I'm trying. Advocaz Diaboli, how is changing DEI to inclusion a change when inclusion is in the acronym? You still have to virtue signal to those in the know. You can't completely change it. You can't say, we're changing from a DEI model to a network simulation model. I don't even know what that means. I just came with two words and a network simulation advancement model, an NSA. Oh wait, no, that doesn't make any sense. Wait. Or in the live chat. Live chat. Oh yeah, I have a live chat. I'm making a joke about the fact that I missed the super chat earlier. I guess there is. I guess you guys are here. Yeah, if you have something to say about it, you can go ahead. You know, that's fine. You got something you want to say on the subject. Orientation. Nobody told me I had to bring a compass to this interview. Oh, yeah. I've said it before. Of all the elements that they assess employment or vendor candidates on and anything, when they do bring up orientation, I'm just dying to know, how does that conversation go in the interview room? How does that subject get brought up in a job interview or in casual conversation with a potential employee or vendor? And it's like, wow, that's great. So what'd you do on your weekend, huh? Did you happen to, carouse with anyone of the same gender? I'm just asking. Yeah, I don't know. Always been a conundrum to me. But that's our first story. Costco really, really digging in on DEI, which I like to see. I'd like to see someone who's not shying away from it, not trying to make it a subversive element of their overall corporate makeup, and saying loud and proud that they are a DEI adherent. I can only hope that brings some kind of consequence legally, because that's what really needs to happen. And again, from the federal government. Conservative think tanks making lawsuits, independent activists on Twitter encouraging companies to change their language and so on. I don't mind it. It's good progress. But either the laws we have in place mean something or they don't. They have to be defended and enforced thoroughly, or else they lose all their power and all the threat to anyone else who might try this in the future. So if there's one thing that I hope the Trump administration accomplishes in the next 4 years, it's making a definitive example of one of these companies that will not let it go, and using law on the books, laws from the 60s, to make it stop, as it should have stopped years ago. But we will see. All right, so let's move on to our next story. I don't usually discuss entertainment news here as much as I do over on Midnight's Edge with the other guys. But I don't know, this one just keeps getting more and more interesting. The whole Diddyverse. I'm going to call it the Diddyverse. That sounds really gross, but it is really gross. Yes, the continuing fallout and intrigue of the Sean Diddy Puff Combs stuff, and particularly Jay-Z. Now, so far, everything set up against Jay-Z is just an allegation, but the legal trials and travails is still interesting. Jay-Z's efforts to dismiss rape case from then 13-year-old accuser denied by judge. Jay-Z's efforts to dismiss a case accusing him of raping a then 13-year-old girl in 2000 have been denied by a judge, who also granted the Jane Doe accuser the ability to proceed anonymously, despite efforts from the rap mogul's legal team to have her reveal her identity publicly. Now, I'm always wary about this part, because we go back to things like the UVA rape case or the lacrosse case, cases where, It's one of those moral conundrums. It's like, do you make the accuser of something as intimately disgusting as this sort of thing someone that has to put themselves on the public stage? But then you say, well, are they any different from any other accuser of any other crime and so on? I don't know. I honestly don't have a clear answer as to how I feel about that. But anyway, Jay-Z, whose given name is Sean Carter, has vigorously denied the accusations. In an order filed on Thursday, Judge Annalisa Torres penned a scathing decision condemning Carter's lawyer's aggressive tactics in moving to dismiss the case. Okay? Quote, Carter's lawyer Carter's lawyer's relentless filing of combative motions containing inflammatory language and ad hominem attacks is inappropriate, a waste of judicial resources, and a tactic unlikely to benefit his client, unquote, the order read. Quote, the court will not fast-track the judicial process merely because counsel demands it, unquote. Earlier this month, Doe, that's Jane Doe, filed an amended lawsuit that was initially filed in October, accusing Sean Diddy Combs and an anonymous celebrity of raping her at the 2000 MTV Music Video Awards. Carter was named in the amended complaint, revealing him to be the first celebrity accused of sexual assault in connection to Combs, who has pleaded not guilty to 3 federal charges and is awaiting a criminal trial. In her complaint, Doe said she was drugged at the party before she was sexually assaulted by both men. Carter has repeatedly denied the claims and has noted inconsistencies in Doe's story, which she admitted to in a recent interview, while still standing by her rape allegations against Carter and Combs. Relying on those inconsistencies, Carter's lawyer took the unusual step of asking the judge for an expedited dismissal on the grounds that the case is frivolous and unfounded. Yeah, but that has to be assessed. The balance of the evidence has to be assessed in a court of law, unless the prosecutor themselves decides to drop it because, you know, they feel like the evidence isn't solid enough. Doe was represented by Houston-based attorney Tony Busby, who has said he is representing at least 120 accusers of Combs. 120? Is that true? Seems like a lot. Carter's attorney, Alex Spiro, has taken aim at Busby, accusing him of extorting his famous client. In the judge's order, she condemns Spiro for making such accusations against Busby, writing, quote, since Carter's attorney first appeared in this case 17 days ago, he has submitted a litany of letters and motions attempting to impugn the character of plaintiff's lawyer, many of them expounding on the purported urgency of this case. Although Carter's attorney assails plaintiff's lawyer as having a chronic inability to follow the rules, the order continued, Carter's counsel has failed to abide by the court's clear rules, unquote. Uh-oh. Busby told CNN via an email on Thursday, quote, the coordinated and desperate efforts to attack me as counsel for alleged victims are falling flat, unquote. Yeah, you want to attack the point, not the person. So if there's something you want to make a motion of, that their lawyer's a jerk is not really a great argument. CNN has reached out to Spiro for comment, as well as additional representatives for Carter. In her decision to grant Doe's motion to proceed anonymously, the judge wrote, quote, the weight of the factor tips in favor of allowing plaintiff to remain anonymous, at least for this stage of the litigation, unquote, but noted that this decision could change, writing, quote, because the balance of these factors will certainly shift as the case proceeds, especially if and when the parties engage in discovery in earnest, the court intends to revisit this decision at a future date, unquote. All right, so it's not a permanent decree. The judge's order explained that factors in granting Doe to be able to proceed anonymously included that allegations concerning sexual assault are, quote, highly sensitive, unquote, given that Doe alleged that Combs and Carter, quote, drugged and raped her when she was only 13, unquote, as well as Busby's assertion that, quote, many of his other clients who have filed similar lawsuits against Sean Combs claim to have been threatened by Mr. Combs for their decision to speak out, unquote. Well, eventually it'll have to come to light in some way, shape, or form, I think. Representatives for Combs declined to comment on the judge's decision, but previously issued a statement on Doe's case. Quote, this amended complaint and the recent extortion lawsuits against Mr. Busby exposes his barrage of lawsuits against Mr. Combs for what they are. Shameless publicity stunts designed to extract payments from celebrities who fear having lies spread about them, just as lies have been spread about Mr. Combs, unquote. His legal team said, denying that he has ever sexually assaulted anyone. Speaking to reporters earlier this month, Carter's attorney called Doe's case, quote, all a fantasy, unquote, and said, quote, we expect the case to be dismissed. If it's not, we expect this all to crumble. Okay. Well, again, it's all allegation until proof is made. So I guess we shall see. But, you know, there's a whole mountain of circumstantial evidence in the surrounds of Puff Daddy over the years that, you know, it's like, I suppose it could all be coincidences. It could all be just, you know, rumors and so on. I guess we'll find out. I don't know. Time will purportedly tell, unless it's all bought off and covered up again. Resolute Germ. Seeing as Jay-Z has a history of tampering, it's understandable to want to remain anonymous. Well, yeah, I could, like I said, I could see some arguments for remaining anonymous. Especially since the profile of the people being accused is so high and there's a possibility of backlash or intimidation or something else. So, to a certain point, but eventually, even if she was 13 at the time, if it's still part of our process that you have the right to confront your accuser. And part of that, unless there's a really overwhelming reason to otherwise, part of that's eventually going to be that person's will probably have to be named. Probably. But we'll see. Didn't she retract the accusations? She clarified, or I don't have it in front of me, but inconsistencies in her story were pointed out, and she came back and tried to explain them or something. So it's all very shaky right now. It's hard to say. Let's see. I thought nowadays they use video recordings for what, like depositions or something? What do you mean? I don't know. Hybrid human, Hollyweird. Well, that's putting it mildly, given some of the stories that have come out over the last several years about different things going on with celebrities and so on, and Harvey Weinstein and so on. A lawyer being aggressive for their client, that is their job. Well, yeah, I mean, whatever Jay-Z's lawyers were saying, it sounded fairly schoolyard. Either there's something substantive. Either there's something substantive to proceed with, or you're just calling people names. Yeah, just saying that lawyer is a glory hound and they're this, they're that, and the other. It's like, let's say that they are. On what basis does that mean that I should legally dismiss this case? All right. Can you imagine a glory hound lawyer, a complete narcissist, having a solid case against somebody? Well, because they're a glory hound, we have to dismiss. That's ridiculous. That's just ridiculous. JB, for kids testifying in courts. Yeah, there have been many, many cases where you have like a deposition of a child in, like, say, an abuse case or something, where that tape is not broadcast, the child's name is kept secret, especially if they're still a minor during the course of the investigation and the trial and so on. But when you're talking 20 some odd years after the crime and the person is now an adult, the argument of anonymity because she was a minor at the time of the crime, it becomes much more hazy. And as the judge said, that decision will be revisited at some point. So, anyway. But yes, more and more things come out over time. Everything will be revealed in time. Question is, in time for anything to make a difference? I suppose we'll find out. But speaking of celebrities, man, I feel like I'm on Midnight's Edge or something. I might have to bring this up tomorrow morning if I'm on the show. Cynthia Erivo reveals she co-wrote an original song for Elphaba in Wicked. And apparently Variety doesn't know the difference between a lowercase I and a capital I. But anyway, for Wicked for Good. Wicked for Good is the title of the sequel to Wicked. Because if you didn't know, Wicked has been split into 2 3-hour movies or something. So the second movie that hasn't come out yet is called Wicked for Good. And Cynthia Erivo wrote an original song for her character in Wicked for Good. And she says, when we filmed it, the entire crew was in tears. And the I is their I key stuck or something? I is capitalized in entire, I is capitalized in Wicked, I is capitalized in original. What is going on? What is going on? I don't understand. Yeah, so guys, I wrote an original song, and when we filmed it, everybody cried. And then everybody clapped. Everybody clapped. Awards Circuit podcast. Also on this episode, this is a podcast? I thought it was an article. It is an article. There's a podcast in here somewhere, I guess. Cynthia Erivo knows how to do this. Knows how to do what? Erivo has already dazzled audiences with her powerhouse performances on stage and screen. Yeah, and also during her interview circuit for the movie, where she's crying and whispering and seeing that everybody makes space for her or whatever. Still, her turn as Elphaba in John M. Chu's Wicked has cemented her place as one of her generation's most versatile and captivating artists. Yeah, because prior to Wicked, I couldn't count. It's just impossible to count how many times Cynthia Erivo's name came up in my world. In this generation. The first half of the two-part Wicked saga is already a sensation, and Erivo's portrayal of the misunderstood green-skinned witch is winning accolades. Yet, as she reveals to Variety's Award Circuit podcast, this journey is far more than just a career milestone. It's personal. Yes, like Jaws 4, this time, it's personal. In her approach to Elphaba, Erivo drew on her own experiences. Oh, I can only imagine. Quote, "I know what it feels like to walk into a room where people don't want you to be there," unquote. Erivo shares on this week's episode. Well, maybe because you're obnoxious. I don't know. Maybe it's some personality quirk you possess. But I'm sure you mean something else. Quote, "I know what it's like to be bullied, to feel rejected, to feel like you're not loved. Bringing those memories to the surface wasn't easy." Sure. But it was necessary to show Elphaba's vulnerability and resilience, unquote. Oh, okay. Accolades have rained upon the stunning British... Oh, man. Variety, do you want some, Oh, boy. You want a pillow for those knees? Okay. Accolades have rained upon the stunning British artist throughout her career, with only an Oscar to go to complete her EGOT. If she wins Best Actress... Oh, Lord. Erivo will be the first actor to complete her EGOT on the Oscar stage. Erivo's interpretation of the role that Idina Menzel, originated on Broadway, captures Elphaba's complexity, showcasing her evolution from an outcast to a symbol of strength. It's fan fiction. The Wicked Witch of the West is a monster. She was a monster. She was always a monster. She's not some sympathetic, oh, poor is me. That's all fan fiction BS. She's a villain. A terrible, terrible enslaving of creatures villain. But we don't want to talk about that, I guess. Still, she didn't want to belt out every note. Erivo says she wanted to earn her melodic power with the audience. Quote, "When I first sing as Elphaba, it's almost spoken, tentative, unsure. She hasn't earned the right to soar yet. By the time she gets to Defying Gravity, it's not just a song, it's a declaration of power," Erivo explains. Oh my gosh. Oh, breathe in thy gases deeper. JB, thank you so much. She's lying. She sung Memory from Cats. Oh! Midnight, not a sound from the pavement. Has the moon lost her memory? She is smiling alone. How to go, let's see, it's, let's see. Something. How did I'm trying to remember we sang this in elementary school. I'm trying to remember. And the street lamps sputter, and soon it will be morning. Something. Anyway, I'm reaching way, way back in time there. Don't mind me. This is me doing a test of my own memory. A declaration of power. One of the most talked about aspects of the film is the emotional connection between Elphaba and Glinda, played by Ariana Grande. One of the key moments is during the Ozdust ballroom scene, seeing the two divas exchanging emotions in a powerful, wordless dance number. Reflecting on the scene, Erivo says, quote, The dance we share is an act of forgiveness. It's Elphaba saying, "You hurt me, but I'm willing to start again." Forgiveness is one of the hardest things we can do, and this moment needed to show that. Ariana and I worked closely to bring our authenticity to our relationship. We wanted the audience to feel the bond between them and the pain of their choices. Beyond Wicked, Arriva was channeling her artistry into music. She reveals exclusively to Variety that her debut album will drop next year, just before the release of Wicked for Good. Quote, "The album is eclectic, blending soul, country, and pop," she says. Quote, "My voice is the backbone. I've even used it as an instrument for layering sounds," unquote. Wow. A solo album of a singer using her voice as the backbone for the album. My God. That's just amazing. Oh. I can't stand the innovation. It's cracking my bones. The release is deeply personal for Arrivo, who views music as a therapeutic outlet. Oh, does she? No one's ever seen singing or music as a therapeutic outlet before. Yeah, quote, "I've worked so hard on this album. It's an extension of me and a reflection of all the influences that have shaped my life," unquote. You know, I can't help but be reminded of Jesse Smollett and how he did his big music album on the back of his, middling part in the show Empire. And how did that go for him? Not so well. I don't know. I don't know if people are clamoring to see Cynthia Erivo in Wicked because it's Cynthia Erivo or because it's Wicked. I could be wrong. I'm sure plenty of people will buy her album. Maybe. The release is deeply personal for... What is it with me saying personable today? My brain wants to say personable when I see that word. But anyway, the release is deeply personal for Erivo, who views music as a therapeutic outlet. Quote, okay. For the second part of Wicked, Erivo worked closely with composer Stephen Schwartz to create an original song for Elphaba. Quote, "I collaborated on one of the new songs, and it's so special to me," she shares. Quote, "When we filmed it, the entire crew was in tears." Yeah, most likely tears of pain. Please stop singing. "I hope audiences are ready. It's a song that speaks to the heart of who Elphaba is." You mean a terrible, remorseless villain who's willing to try to kill a young girl and her dog to get her shoes while enslaving entire races of creatures? Okay, I can't wait. Oh, wait, yes, I can. She also teases the darker, more mature tone of the second film. Quote, "We're diving deeper into the consequences of the characters' choices. The story is richer, and the stakes are higher. It's not just a continuation, it's a transformation." Oh, God. Oh, jeez. Oh. Can you feel it? Can you feel it? Dun, dun, can you feel it? Dun, dun, can you feel it? Dun, dun, dun. Dun, 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 dun. Countless social media videos of viewers recording themselves after the closing credits show people in tears. If you're familiar with the stage adaptation, I'm not sure we're ready as a nation to see Erivo and Grande sing For Good from Act 2. You're right, as a nation. As a whole nation, we're not ready, everyone. We are not ready to see them sing For Good. Admittedly, I have no idea. I've never seen the play, the musical. I recognize like bits and pieces of some of the... If somebody plays one of the biggest songs from it, I can kind of go, oh yeah, I've heard that somewhere. But I have no idea. We're not ready as a nation to see Erivo and Grande sing For Good from Act 2. It's sure to be a heart-wrenching moment of reconciliation, which Erivo reveals left even the cast and crew in tears during... Oh my God! You know what? The cast and crew of Wicked was the #1 customer of Kleenex in the last 2 years. They come to the work and they just start crying. Why am I here? Take me off this thing. Oh God. Oh God, they're singing again. Why? They have to keep singing. I never hear the end of it. Erivo is passionate about challenging traditional notions of good and evil in Wicked. Oh boy. You mean everything is a stale gray paste? There is no clear morality anymore? Boy, what a new idea. I haven't been hearing that for years and years now. Most especially when you had the idiots from the Acolyte on stage going like, oh yeah, you know, the Force really isn't, there's no light side or dark side, really, it's all very in between. You know, there is. There really is. There's a clear line of morality. There's good and there's evil. And remember, at least in part, Wizard of Oz was meant to be for children, to teach them some lessons about the real world and good and bad and such. Oh, but no, you know, there's new challenging the traditional notions of good and evil. You know, I mean, enslaving the monkeys into being my servants, that's actually not a bad thing if you really think about it for a second. You know, all those other creatures and races that the Wicked Witch enslaved. You know, it makes a kind of sense if you think about it hard enough. It's not that bad. She deserves it. Quote, Elphaba isn't wicked. None of the characters are purely good or bad. They're flawed, complex, and human, Erivo said. Quote, this story asks us to reconsider the labels we place on others and ourselves. It's about empathy and understanding. The world needs more of that right now, unquote. Really? Empathy and understanding. Okay, well, what did you have to say to a fan who photoshopped the official Hollywood poster for the film into better resembling the playbill for the actual musical? Oh, that's right. They were erasing your identity, hiding your eyes, on and on and on. Oh, boy. Yeah, as long as you're understanding in agreement with me, then we're good. Heaven forfend you do something that I decide to take offense to. Also on this episode, okay, this is about a podcast thing. All right. None of the characters are purely good or bad. The Wicked Witch of the West. She wants to murder a girl for her shoes, and she has at least 2 different races of beings enslaved to her. I don't know what to tell you. It's a thing. But of course, this is fan fiction, but people are going to take it like it's an actual official extension of the story or something. So, anyway, let's see. Where was that other story that I had? Here it is. Apparently, I forgot to pull it up. That would make it kind of difficult. So, yeah. So, what do you have to say about Cynthia Erivo? Let me know right now. This is the only time you have. Jill Powers, she's a pure narcissist. That'd be a reasonable estimation, given her behavior in the last couple of months. I'd never heard of her before this movie, so her being like the voice of a generation or something. I'm not a Broadway kid or something like that, so I don't know. But she certainly hasn't impressed in the meantime. The witch that wanted to eat Hansel and Gretel was just hungry and oppressed. I know, right? She was being deprived of food. So, I mean, if you can't find food yourself, or, you know, the ground isn't something that's arable for growing food, you eat children. It's just the logical thing to do. Nobody can fault her for it. You know, that's just what you do. JB, fuck the Acolyte. I have serious issues with them using the Force to impregnate. Yeah, it's just... I mean, the door was kind of open with Darth Plagueis using the Force to create a sort of life from nothing in the first place. So that is part of the original canon in a way, or at least implied. It still kept a little ambiguous whether or not Anakin Skywalker was the end result of Plagueis' experiments, but it's almost entirely confirmed. But also it takes years and years and years and is an act of manipulating the dark side against nature. It's not something to be celebrated. Anakin Skywalker was an abomination. That's the thing. Anakin Skywalker was an abomination. He might have eventually found his way back to the light, but he was always an abomination. It was his son, who I guess is an abomination by extension. But either way, you know what I mean. Yeah, Anakin Skywalker was an abomination of the Force. He was not like the natural extension of the Force. The Force was manipulated and abused by Darth Plagueis to make Anakin Skywalker. It's all really kind of gross and dark if you think about it, which makes sense given the fate of the character. But anyway, let's see. They used Palpatine in the current canon. Oh, did they change it now to Palpatine was the Force child by Plagueis? Yeah, no. No. It makes more sense as a Sith plot to take down the Jedi, right? Plagueis creates a life from the Force. This fulfills a previously stated prophecy that the Jedi are almost honor-bound to believe in. And then Anakin Skywalker insinuates himself into the Jedi Order to eventually bring them down and be the hand of revenge of the Sith. It makes a heck of a lot more sense in that way. But anyway, that's... or Palpatine was the creator of Anakin? Oh, is that it now? Okay, well, here's the thing. The Darth Plagueis novel, which is now Legends, is probably one of the best Star Wars books that they wrote. It ties together all these other storylines and really paints a picture of the Sith Order and the history thereof in the time of the prequels so elegantly. I gotta say, it's a great book. It's a really great book. It makes things work a lot better. It redeems a lot of things about some of the prequels and other stuff, which it shouldn't have to do. The movies should be able to stand on their own, but you work with what you've got. And the fact that they retconned all that stuff out is one of the greatest crimes to pop culture ever, as far as I'm concerned. Ever. But anyway, let's move on to a story that caught my attention. I'll just say it caught my attention. This is a list of small articles from Politico. The first of these articles is what caught my attention, so I'm going to leave that one for last. And I'll talk about why it caught my attention. But the Politico put out an article the other day that says 9 political issues that bit the dust this year. Okay, this is the part that I want to underscore. That bit the dust this year. Let's go past the first one and just take a look at the others. I haven't read this entire thing yet, so some of these will be new to me. Let's take them in there on their own as we proceed. Equal justice under the law. A foundational premise of our legal system is that no person is above the law. The phrase equal justice under law is even engraved above the front entrance of the Supreme Court. But Donald Trump's odyssey through the American criminal justice system and his eventual escape from it exposed a glaring exception to this equality principle. To paraphrase Orwell, all defendants are equal, but presidents are more equal than others. We've long known that Trump was getting special treatment in the courts. But the Supreme Court itself reinforced that reality with its July decision granting Trump sweeping immunity for alleged crimes he committed while president. And his imminent return to power is causing the 4 criminal cases against him to further unravel. That outcome confirms not only that Trump himself will never face serious legal accountability, but also that the aspirational mantra on the Supreme Court's front facade is more myth, less truth. James Romoser. Okay, obviously in this very short article, or comment, I guess I would say, you're not going to address the actual merit to the cases against him, or the confidence anybody prosecuting him had to carry those cases forward, despite the fact he's becoming president, or that they waited many, many years to bring these cases forward just before the election season started. You're not going to mention Hunter Biden effectively having been given a pass on anything he's done over the last 10 years from his own father, the president. Yeah, if you want to talk about that, you have to talk about Hunter Biden. But you didn't. But this is Politico, so there you go. Another thing that apparently passed away in 2024, traditional canvassing. Walking with somebody door to door is a reminder. People might vote, and they might not. People might know who or what is on the ballot, and they might not. But most people, the cars are in the driveway, but nobody's home. Doorbells don't ring so much as keep a wary watch. People don't trust because they don't know, and they don't know because they don't trust. They make their political picks not as a result of reasoned debate, but based on the intermittent awareness that creeps in on the scrolling blue light of their phones. Does the age-old nuts and bolts of organization and persuasion, door knocking, phone banking, even text blasting, still make a meaningful difference? Who knows? Well, then what are you talking about? If you don't know whether or not it does make a difference, then But in this new world, in the face of digital forums, more and more people seem to see as more real than life. Let me try that again. In the face of digital forums, more and more people seem to see as more real than real life. Okay, diligent ground game tactics are at best inefficient and at worst ineffective. Well, then why did you say who knows a sentence before? Okay, this is still just sour grapes that Kamala failed miserably. Now here's the other one that I was curious about. This is not the marquee claim of this article that caught my attention, but this one in particular is interesting. DEI programs. The protests, unrest, and political action set off by George Floyd's 2020 murder. Oh, we're still going with that, are we? Okay. Spurred a quieter movement to acknowledge the nasty echoes of redlining, educational exclusion, and job discrimination that continued to shape the economy. But let's talk about that last one there. Job discrimination that continued to shape the economy. A quieter movement. Okay. Jim Crow-era Confederate statutes that had been so hard to remove just a few years earlier. Like what? And how many of those Jim Crow-era Confederate statutes were still actively being put into practice? They've been so hard to remove just a few years earlier, started getting plucked with relative ease. White corporate leaders began issuing statements about how Black Lives Matter. And companies and colleges set up or expanded offices to promote diversity, equity, and inclusion. I hate to tell you this, person, but all of this stuff, in one way, shape, or form, had been happening before 2020. I know. I have dozens, if not hundreds, of videos on the subjects from 2016 up to 2020 and beyond. But maybe you just weren't paying attention. But now, these DEI projects are going through an extinction-level event. Good. Conservative state lawmakers have spent years outlawing state-funded DEI programs, quashing them on campuses. Activists have deployed the Supreme Court's limits on affirmative action in college admissions to stop DEI programs in the private sector. Yes. And why is that? What was the rationale on the court's behalf on that? You have anything to say about existing federal law? Just before Thanksgiving, America's largest private employer, Walmart, pulled back on all of its diversity work following similar decisions from other big companies like Ford, Lowe's, and Boeing. After Vice President Kamala Harris's loss, it's clear that many Democrats don't know what to do about these programs. What does Vice President Kamala Harris's loss have to do with any of this? It was a problem when Joe Biden was running for president. It's clear it's clear that many Democrats don't know what to do about these programs, especially when the Trump administration has promised to wield the might of the federal government to eradicate them. I hope that they do. What the heck does Vice President Kamala Harris's loss have to do with any of it? They would still be bad and illegal and regressive even if she'd won. It's just that she certainly wouldn't have prosecuted them. She would have encouraged them. I guess that's really the only difference. Okay, next, relying on abortion to turn out voters. Yeah, because here's the thing. It seemed like the press didn't understand that it was no longer within the realm of the president or the Supreme Court to make a decision on abortion. It went back to the states. Anyone with half a brain knew that. Whoever you picked to be president of the United States would have zero direct effect on abortion rights in your state. So saying, oh no, we have to protect reproductive rights by voting for this person or that person, it's irrelevant now. It's a state-by-state issue. Unless or until the federal legislature decides to codify Roe into law or the reverse into law. After campaigns to preserve abortion rights helped halt a red wave in 2022 and won Democrats' key races in 2023, many in the party headed into November confident that putting the issue directly on the ballot in nearly a dozen states would juice turnout and pull swing voters to the left, especially after Harris replaced President Joe Biden at the top of the ticket and made a forceful defense of abortion rights in her leading message. Clearly, that didn't happen. Yeah. Yes, abortion rights ballot measures passed in 7 more states and won majority support in Florida, which had nothing to do with who was going to be president, though the measure failed because the state requires a 60% supermajority for passage. But voters in those same states on the same ballot voted for Republicans with a history of opposing abortion rights. Okay. So you didn't read the room correctly, I guess. Most Arizona voters, for instance, overturned a 15-week abortion ban and checked a box for Trump. Oh my gosh, they could feel two different ways about two different things? Wow. Polling before and after the election showed that other issues, including the economy and immigration, took precedence for most voters, steering them toward GOP candidates. Well, here's a thought, and I know this might be a radical idea. Maybe, on balance, most voters are in favor of certain progressive policies, but they're not in favor of Democrats. Can you imagine for a moment detaching one from the other, the policy from the party, and being for the policy, but not really a big fan of the people running the party that would say that they're attached to it? I know. It's a crazy idea. Crazy idea. And many strategists and abortion rights advocates believe the ballot measures created a, quote, permission structure, unquote, for Republican voters who were worried about the impact of bans on the procedure. There are a handful of states left where citizens can put an abortion rights measure on the ballot in the future, and groups in Arkansas, Florida, Nebraska, and South Dakota are likely to try again after initiatives there fell short or were blocked by courts this year. But the era of Democrats counting on such measures to boost their candidates' chances is officially over. Yes, because it is a states' rights issue. It's no longer about federal anybody. It's been removed. It's out of the quiver of whether it's Democrats or Republicans at the federal level to start saying, oh, now we're going to do this, that. No. It's resolved down to the states. And everybody is, if they didn't already understand it in 2023 or 2022, they get it now. And yeah, it's gone. Using that as a lever for votes is gone. And who was using it as a lever for votes mostly? The Democrats. Next notion that has apparently expired in 2024. Trusting the quote-unquote experts. Oh, well, at least you put quotes around it. America's great thinkers and investors have spent 2024 pondering how soon AI, capable of synthesizing all the data on Earth, if you say so, would relegate the human brain to obsolescence. No. But the 2024 election cycle was a reminder that sometimes the data can't paint the full picture. Oh, just like in 2016? Sometimes it's the vibes that matter. By and large, the folks on K Street, in the press, and on Capitol Hill thought that President Joe Biden would never step aside. They were fooled. But your boomer aunt in Tucson probably saw Biden's demise coming from a mile away. Uh-huh. And in the race between Donald Trump and Vice President Kamala Harris, the conventional wisdom missed again. The data promised a race so close that days could go by before the nation knew the winner. But the intangibles, the vibes, seemed to favor Trump. Whether it was the cocky bro podcasters, the Trump curious men on TikTok, the Trump curious men, the wellness moms, or the way too online Silicon Valley investors, the influencer class, our national curator of vibes, turned out to be a better indicator of the direction of our politics than talking heads and political aggregators. Would we be wise to tune into the vibes again in 2028? Or will ChatGPT ship a new election forecasting feature first? Tuning into the you mean actually talking to people? Do you mean actually looking at the numbers, actually talking to people instead of just dismissing them? Remember when Don Lemon went out on the street and he was talking to people and asked them about who they were going to vote for and everything? And it was somebody said, I'm voting for Trump because the economy's terrible. And Don Lemon's like, but the economy's the best it's ever been. What are you talking about? It's saying unironically, and the person laughed in his face. Yeah, imagine if you'd stop for a second and think, gosh, I guess this person's just an idiot, and Don Lemon knows what's right. Yeah, when are you guys going to get off your high horse and actually go try to buy a gallon of milk or something, or get a paycheck, or live in a world where you're not insulated from reality? That's a choice you're going to have to make, I guess. The Kennedy mystique. Oh, the Kennedy mystique has died in 2024? Oh, okay. The allure of America's most glamorous political dynasty has intoxicated America for over half a century. Honestly, somebody's going to have to correct me. I don't see how the Kennedy family in any meaningful way has had much of anything to do with politics or the culture at large since maybe JFK Jr. died. Okay, I don't know that the Kennedy mystique has been all that big a deal for decades now, honestly. At least to the current generation and maybe mine. Because the Kennedys was always talked about, their majesty was always talked about in the past tense. Because all of it had basically been, assassinated in some way, shape, or form, or had their name besmirched by bad actors within the family for their scandals. So I don't think the Kennedy mystique died in 2024. I think it was effectively irrelevant 20, 30 years ago. But I'm happy to be corrected. The allure of America's most glamorous political dynasty, has it been, though? Intoxicated America for over half a century. But this year, it seems like the buzz is finally wearing off. Finally wearing off? And the hangover is starting to set in. One Kennedy scion revealed himself to be not just a vaccine skeptic, but a political opportunist with a taste for saturated fats and a troubling history involving a dead bear. Another made a name for himself as a thirst-trapping social media influencer and a solidly mediocre political reporter. Who was that? I honestly don't know who they're referring to there. Jack Schlossberg? I clicked on the hyperlink and I can't read the article because it's pay to play. I have never heard of Jack Schlossberg. So if you say so. Yet another tried to Nepo baby her way into the senior ranks of Donald Trump's CIA. Who's that? RFK's daughter. Amaryllis Fox Kennedy. I've never heard of her either. Okay. The mask, it seems, is finally off. Not that there was much mystery about what was behind it. Okay, if you say so. Sounds a little bit sour grapes. Something else that apparently died in 2024, the misinformation industry. Misinformation, or lying as it was once called. Yeah, you know where misinformation was said the most from people? Those trying to tramp down people who were trying to say things that were true, like, oh, Joe Biden's brain has left him. Or perhaps a disease whose name is on a building in the very town where said disease originated might have come from that building. In the U.S., President-elect Donald Trump ramped up his decades-long war on veracity. Okay, this is rich, coming from an industry that covered for Joe Biden's brain for the last 4 years. Vice President Kamala Harris got in on the fun with her presidential campaign's unsuccessful attempt to persuade voters that Trump's return would turn America into the Galactic Empire plus Nazi Germany. Yeah, whose misinformation was that? And Robert F. Kennedy Jr. parlayed his conspiracy theories into a cabinet nod. Abroad, previously unknown far-right candidate Salin Gorescu scored a shocking win in Romania's presidential elections after denying the mere existence of COVID-19. And yet the misinformation industry, the nascent group of think tanks, nonprofits, universities, and media organizations like Politico, CNN, MSNBC... sorry. What was I saying? Sorry. All right, let me back up. Sorry, I don't know where that came from. Sorry. The nascent group of think tanks, nonprofits, universities, and NGOs dedicated to identifying lies and limiting their spread has lost much of its credibility and clout. But why? That's due in large part to three key factors. Okay, here we go. Trump's decisive electoral win. Well, that proved that all of the pollsters and pundits were wrong, yeah. Trump's decisive electoral win, coming as he's vowed to ban the federal government from even using the word misinformation. Okay, hadn't heard that one, but all right. Tech moguls like Mark Zuckerberg pushing back on government efforts to police misinformation on their platforms while currying favor with Trump. I'm sensing a pattern here. And backlash, even from stalwart liberal activists against the most extreme forms of policing misinformation. Romania actually nullified its election results on the grounds of Russian misinformation despite no evidence of direct vote tampering, a move that even Georgescu's progressive opponents condemned. Do you mean to tell me that questionable electoral practices are taking place in Eastern Europe? I'm shocked. Understandably, then, wonks are warning of the floodgates opening for false information online during Trump's second term. False information online? Like, the vaccine will stop you from being infected? Like, Joe Biden is smart as a whip behind closed doors? The misinformation industrial complex isn't surrendering, but increasingly, no one is listening. Just look at the reaction to last fall's catastrophic hurricanes in the southeastern United States, where millions of users enthusiastically shared and engaged with blatant lies about the disaster on Elon Musk's X, none of which were taken down. Hey, do you guys understand the concept of freedom of speech? Oh, wait, that's right, you don't. Never mind. In 2025, misinformation crusaders might have to bid farewell to their seemingly fruitless crusade to suppress lies and pivot to persuading their audience of the truth. Oh my gosh, you guys. In 2025, misinformation crusaders might have to stop trying to suppress the freedom of speech and actually make an argument in counterpoint. Oh my God! Oh no! Okay, how many more of these are there? Politics on SNL. Okay, that's the last one. All right. Well, not the last one, but the next to last one, the penultimate item. Something else that died in 2024. Politics on SNL. Like you mean when they gave explicit favor to one candidate and not the other? Yeah, okay. Now, politics on Okay, I'm gonna give a spoiler alert here. The Satsu rule is in place, but it's been reset. The Satsu rule, if you guys don't know, back during the time of Lords of the Night, was that when it comes to politics, society, history, and everything else, everything began in 2016. Because anything Trump did or said or whatever was some kind of new thing that never occurred before Trump got involved. And now it's all unprecedented and, it's breaking everything and no one's ever thought of this before. We're so shocked, we're so outraged that this could take place in our world and it's all Trump's fault. As though we haven't been a functioning country of some form or another and people haven't been people prior to 2016. Well, no, now we're hit the big reset button. 2024, nothing has occurred before 2024. So yeah, politics on SNL just died in 2024. Anyway, I'm not going to read this one, but let's go up to the top item. The top item that caught my attention, that the author of which was doing a victory lap on Twitter for earlier this week. What died this year? This year, 2024. What died this year? Celebrity endorsements. Dating back to at least Frank Sinatra's High Hopes becoming John F. Kennedy's campaign jam in 1960, celebrity and pop culture endorsements have been as essential to presidential elections as patriotic bunting. In 2024, Vice President Kamala Harris's campaign took that to the next level, siphoning up much of the Hollywood and entertainment A-list from Arnold Schwarzenegger to Bad Bunny. Oh man, if anybody's going to sway my vote, it's the guy that was going to be attached to a not-produced Spider-Man villain movie from Sony. That is the only thing I know about Bad Bunny. I've never heard a song. I can hardly visualize his face. But hey, Arnold Schwarzenegger to Bad Bunny. A-list. A-list. Vogue at one point compiled a list of 37 stars who endorsed Harris. 37, guys, 37. President-elect Donald Trump tried to counter with endorsements from the likes of Jason Aldean or Kid Rock, but he couldn't keep pace. Quote, "We don't need a star because we have policy," Trump said at a rally in Pittsburgh. In some ways, he wasn't wrong. In some ways? Okay. In some ways, he wasn't wrong. Trump won without the elite sheen of Harris's fleet of surrogates. If anything, her star-studded backers may even have hurt her campaign, giving credence to conservatives who cast her as an out-of-touch California elite. In a fractured country, with the monoculture all but gone, and with anti-elite sentiment building, it's getting harder and harder for any celebrity, even Taylor Swift, to move enough voters to sway an election. That's by Adam Wren. The Nostradamus in reverse. Because you see, here's the thing, guys. 37 stars who endorsed Harris. My God. I mean, if you ever needed evidence that the celebrity endorsement had died in this world, I mean, if you've got 37 celebrities on your side that don't sway enough voters for you to win the election, I mean, there's obviously there's no time in history prior to this could have possibly indicated to 167 Hollywood stars for Hillary Clinton, a list. Oh my God! What have I done? I broke history. Oh Lord, what have I done? I mean, that's only back in 2016 when 167 Hollywood stars for Hillary Clinton. Admittedly, I mean, I am an English major. I'm not a math major. I think, and somebody in chat's going to have to check me on this, I think 167 is a larger number than 37. By at least a couple of magnitudes. I could be wrong. Somebody's going to have to check me on this. Hillary Clinton has by far the most celebrity endorsements of any presidential candidate in 2016, a list that includes recent Oscar winner Leonardo DiCaprio, Beyonce. Wait a second. Beyonce endorsed Hillary Clinton? Well, okay. I digress. I think I've made my point. I think I might have made my point. Oh boy. All right. Well, let's take a moment here. Let's all digest this for a moment. Jill Powers. Look at all the stupid people. I know. Short-sighted, partisan, irrelevant. Yeah. Mess says depends on the math. Oh, it's true. I mean, was I using like real math or Common Core? If I was using Common Core, 37 might actually be a larger number than 167. It's possible. Bridget. With my expensive engineering degree, I can confirm it is a larger number. Well, I'm glad to be affirmed by an expert. I appreciate that. Thank you, Bridget. When she's not hitting people with sticks, Bridget is also an engineer. So basically, she's engineering a better stick to hit people with. I'm assuming. I bet that's somewhere in her portfolio. How to make a better hitting stick. And if it isn't, it should be. Shadowclaw, Scribelight, I love how Kamala still owes money for those endorsements. Yeah, money is fungible. And last I heard, they were still in arrears. I'm sure it's less than 20 million now, if that figure was accurate to begin with. But as far as I know, they still haven't paid it off. So, Bridget, master's degree student now. But yeah, well, soon then you'll be a master engineer. Spudgun, Donald Trump stopped 2 women from becoming president, the 2 most unlikable women in politics. Good job. They did themselves no favors in the way they conducted their campaigns. But they had lots of celebrities. Except Hillary had more. But somehow Adam Wren at Politico feels that suddenly, only today, only this year, not 8 years ago, only this year, the celebrity endorsement died. Yeah, like I said, Nostradamus in reverse, Adam Wren of Politico. Let's go over real quick to the Discord server. I have a note. I have to wrap up relatively quick here because not only do I have to save my voice, but I have some work stuff I have to get done because it's year end and month end in the upcoming days and other stuff. Plus, as I said earlier, at 11:30 Pacific, 2:30 p.m. Eastern, I'll be on the Latino Slant channel, and I'll be talking up a storm over there as well. So I have to conserve my voice, my energy, and a bunch of other things. But let's see, go into the Discord real quick. And let's see. How about I've got an article from JB. Let me see this here real quick. Okay, this strikes me as interesting, so we'll do this one. We'll do one more, and then we will wrap up. Let me share this out. So this comes from JB over on the Discord server. India's trafficking claims against Canadian colleges reveal exploited immigration system, experts say. Uh-oh. What's this? An investigation by Indian officials that alleges dozens of Canadian colleges and universities might be linked to a scheme of illegally ferrying students across the Canada-US border reveals the staggering extent to which holes in the immigration system can be exploited, some experts say. Quote, if the allegations are true, it reveals shocking gaps in our integrity protocols. This is deeply, deeply concerning and problematic, said Raj Sharma, a Calgary-based immigration lawyer, told CBC News Network, adding that the allegations suggest, quote, wide-scale human smuggling. Okay, how does this work? India's Enforcement Directorate said in a news release on Tuesday it had uncovered evidence of the human trafficking involving 2 entities in Mumbai after probing the Indian connection to the Patel family, who froze to death in January 2022 while trying to cross the border from Manitoba into Minnesota during frigid weather conditions. Okay. The Enforcement Directorate said its investigation found that about 25,000 students were referred by one entity, with over 10,000 students referred by another entity to various colleges outside India every year. Arrangements would be made for the Indian nationals to be admitted to Canadian colleges and universities and apply for student visas, according to the Enforcement Directorate. But once the Indian nationals reached Canada, instead of joining the college, they illegally crossed the border from Canada into the U.S., and the fee received by the Canadian schools was remitted back to the individual's account, the Enforcement Directorate said. So they were basically being a go-between to buy false tickets to the U.S. border. Okay, the investigation also revealed that about 112 colleges based in Canada entered into an agreement with one entity and more than 150 with another entity, the Enforcement Directorate said. Why can't you name the entities? The allegations have not been proven in court, and India has not identified the Canadian colleges allegedly involved. Oh, okay. Let's see. This goes on for a bit. I'm going to put the link to this in the chat. You can also find it on the Discord server. I don't mean to truncate it too much here, but I'm running out of time for some other things I have to get to. So let me put that. Well, that's interesting. Yeah, so assisting illegal immigration through false student visas. And then a family died trying to get across the border through illegal activity. I wish I could say that's a rare event. Let's see. Faustonia. Scribe, I picked up a copy of The Richest Man in Babylon. A great quick read. Thanks. By the way, might I humbly suggest a stream to review? You may humbly suggest a stream to review. I can't guarantee I'll do a review of my own on it, but you can, sure. And I'm glad you liked the book. Yes, The Richest Man in Babylon. Very simple rules to a better financial situation for yourself. It's something that if it's not taught explicitly in schools, you should definitely give it to a high school graduate, because there's some stuff in there that is very fundamental and very, very wise common sense that would help out anybody in need of some advice when it comes to finances. Let's see. Actually, the best place to recommend a stream or something would probably over on the Discord server. The Discord server, a link to which, if you're not already a member of the Discord server, I'm going to create right now for use at the end of the stream, so that anybody who's not already on the Discord server can join the Discord server. Let me make a note of that right now before I get into my last article, also talking about politics. And if you can believe it, this article was published just yesterday. Biden regrets leaving presidential race, thinks he could have beaten Trump. Well, I hate to tell you this, what Biden thinks, and especially who we might suspect is saying what he thinks, has absolutely no credibility anymore, if you can believe it. President Biden privately regrets dropping out of this year's presidential election and reportedly insists he could have beaten President-elect Trump if he wasn't pushed out of the race by his own party. If ever there was an admission of impotence. Biden and some of his aides have boasted to confidants, quote, in recent days, unquote, that the president should have stayed in the race and could have won a second term, the Washington Post reported Saturday, citing multiple anonymous sources briefed on the conversations. Instead, the 82-year-old buckled to pressure by Democratic Party elites to drop out of the race in July because of poor poll numbers and his rocky June 27th debate performance, in which he gave incoherent answers and appeared to stumble over his words. Giving incoherent answers and stumbling over words seems to be inherent to the Biden White House, regardless if it's the president or the vice president. Maybe there's something in the water. Anyway, going on. Vice President Kamala Harris replaced Biden on the top of the Democratic ticket and was handily defeated by Trump, who will be sworn in for a second White House stint on January 20th. Yeah, handily defeated, while every other media outlet was saying otherwise. Quote, aides say the president has been careful not to place blame on Harris or her campaign, the outlet reported. Why not? What have you got to lose at this point? A serious and honest come-to-Jesus moment for the Democratic Party is probably the only beneficial thing you could do for them at this stage of the game. They could do for themselves in all honesty. However, the president all but admitted during a CBS News Sunday morning interview in August, old news, that former House Speaker Nancy Pelosi led the charge because Dems in the House and Senate were worried that he dragged down their chances of being reelected. He would have, and he did, because Kamala did not separate herself from him. Now, I don't know if Kamala might have swayed more votes if she'd been more blatantly in opposition to Biden, or said something like, I disagreed with the president on many issues and I had my own ideas on things, but I serve at the pleasure of the president, and so when it came time to deliver his message to the American people, I did my duty. You know, I could accept that kind of pragmatism if she'd actually said something in opposition to Biden, but she didn't. She just said, I can't think of a thing he did wrong. And in September, he told The View that he was confident he would have defeated Trump in November. Well, okay, if we already have this stuff from his own statements from as far back as August, and then in November, why is it news today, I guess? Many Democrats blame Harris's loss on Biden's insistence not to drop out sooner. I don't think so. I think people had enough of an idea of Kamala Harris, and also her strength within the Democratic Party by that point in not being more out front and center and celebrated after 2021 or thereabouts. I think the Democratic Party would have benefited from an actual primary. I don't think Kamala Harris would have done any better in the polls at the end of the day. Because here's the thing that people don't, the media, and I'm not necessarily Washington, the New York Post, pardon me, but most of the media didn't seem to want to confess to. This wasn't Kamala Harris's first rodeo at running for president. She had her own presidential campaign, which failed, which you would hope she would have learned some lessons from. She also had the better part of 4 years, not only running with Joe Biden in a successful campaign, but also living in and around government in Washington, D.C. and White House politics the entirety of her vice presidential term. She learned nothing of how to run a presidential campaign. She wasn't any more charismatic this time around. She didn't spend her money any more efficiently this time around. And she wasn't any more successful this time around. It was all there. It was on her to lose. If she didn't spend any time since 2019 and 2020 ruminating on her failure, why she failed, how she could do better the next time, if she had any ambitions for the presidency in the future, and didn't apply those things when she had the shot, even if it was short notice, the idea that she hadn't polished anything in the meantime, ridiculous. That was the best that she could do. That was the best that she was going to do, even if there had been a primary, and even if she had won that, which I think is questionable. So I don't buy that. I don't buy that at all. Quote, Biden ran on the promise that he was going to be a transitional president and in effect have one term before handing it off to another generation. Senator Richard Blumenthal told the Washington Post. Yeah. He said that, and then he lied. Quote, I think his running again broke that concept. You think? You think. Okay. The conceptual underpinning of the theory is that, the conceptual underpinning of the theory that he would end the Trump appeal, that he would defeat Trumpism and enable a new era. Well, he didn't. And his chosen successor, by the way, this is what they're not mentioning. Biden endorsed Kamala Harris immediately after stepping down from the race. She was his heir apparent by choice. Some of his closest advisors, without faulting Biden, concede his old-school governing style did not always mesh with modern politics. What governing? He was not governing. We've just been told by his own people he was losing his mind in the early months of his presidency. And I think that's being generous. He was losing his mind as of 2019, and people could see it. His governing style, we have no idea what his governing style would have been, because it was handled by his proxies. It was handled by his staff. Quote, the president has been operating on a time horizon measured in decades, while the political cycle is measured in 4 years. Jake Sullivan, Biden's national security advisor, told the out. What? What do you mean operating on a time horizon measured? What does that even mean? The political cycle has always been measured in 4 years. What? I must be a moron. I don't get it. Biden in recent weeks has admitted to some of the myriad of gaffes he's made in office. Gaffes. Including that he screwed up during the debate and was stupid for not getting credit by putting his name on the pandemic relief checks his administration sent out in 2021, as Trump did as president in 20... I must have missed that. Does he really think that that was some major faux pas that damaged his credibility? That his name was not on the pandemic relief checks? You guys even remember, did that relief help anybody at all in the long run? And Biden and his aides have also conceded the administration could have done a better job lifting American spirits during the pandemic. Oh, yeah, I mean, I know my spirits were lifted when I was told that I was going to die last winter. Remember? If you didn't get the jab, you were going to die! Could have done a better job lifting American spirits, telling a good swath of the country that they were in for death if they didn't go along with... Yeah, okay. Repeating claims made in the Bob Woodward book War, the Washington Post reported Biden has also been telling confidants he shouldn't have picked Merrick Garland as an attorney general, whining the former U.S. Appeals Court judge was too aggressive in prosecuting his son Hunter. And Garland was apparently too slow for Biden in prosecuting Trump over January 6th riots, charges that were ultimately dismissed. Okay, I think we can fairly say that Joe Biden is out of his mind. I think it's fairly obvious now that he does not have a reasonable grasp on reality. If we didn't already know it before, we know it now. Oh boy. Let's see. Meh, if his one eye didn't pop a vein again. Oh yeah, I remember that. Now the bloody eye. Boy, that lasted. That was an emergency for about 10 minutes, wasn't it? Spud gun. To be fair, it's normally 2 years. Well, I mean, presidential cycle. I think they meant presidential cycle. I think. I don't know. They mean that Biden had a vision for the future. Yeah. He had a vision, all right. Yeah, old school. I don't know what that's. Yeah, I don't know what that's supposed to mean either. Old school, like not listening to the chairman of the Armed Services Committee ahead of pulling out of Afghanistan because he was like, "This is a bad idea." I'm not listening to him. Is that old school? Not paying attention to the people who know stuff. I guess that is kind of old school. It's kind of old school, dictatorial authoritarianism kind of stuff. Oh wait, no, that couldn't possibly be any element of the Biden administration. They were totally anti all that. Good gravy. Skyblight, have you seen the weight stigma czar that San Francisco... No, I have not. I could believe it, though. I could believe it. Weight stigma czar. Okay, I really need to get going. But you have piqued my interest. Let's see. Can I look at this story without it being paywalled? Looks like I can. Okay. All right. Let's one last one. All these pop-ups and things. Okay. San Francisco's new weight stigma czar propped up by ice cream manufacturer. Yeah, the manufacturer's got to prop her up because her knees just can't take the load. San Francisco's new consultant on weight stigma is a pro-fat activist promoted by the food industry. On Monday, Virgie Tovar, the author of You Have the Right to Remain Fat, Announced the new role with the city's Department of Public Health to nearly 100,000 followers on Instagram. Quote, I'm unbelievably, giant capital letters, testosterone, proud to serve the city I've called home for almost 20 years in this way, wrote Tovar, who describes herself as a, quote, plus-size Latina author, lecturer, and leading expert on weight-based discrimination and body positivity, unquote, on her personal website. Tovar released few details about her new role with San Francisco's Department of Public Health on Monday, and the agency did not respond to repeated inquiries. Exactly what is the weight stigma czar going to do? I'll do my best Charlie Rose impersonation. So what is it that you do? Or, from The Office, one of the two, or Office Space, pardon me. As reported in my new book out a month ago, I guess this is the author of the article, Fat and Unhappy, How Body Positivity is Killing Us and How to Save Yourself, Tovar is also one of the most prominent influencers for the fat acceptance movement. Do I have a picture of this person? Okay, because I wonder, because I've seen a lot of fat activists in my day as a YouTuber. Will I recognize this person? Have they done a TEDx? Okay. Well, all the top pictures of this person I see, I don't know if they're appropriate for putting on the screen. Yeah, well, okay. Virgie Tovar, if you want to look her up yourself, you're free to do so at your own peril. Thank you, Keeverdam. You're fat. I won't sugarcoat it because you'll just eat that too. Oh! Oof. I say oof. Yeah, if she is supposed to be some kind of poster child for public health, San Francisco is in major trouble. But everyone. I linked the TEDx and she has done a TEDx. Oh, boy. Okay. I'll have to take a look at that. Speaking of the Discord, I have a Discord server. Did you know I have a Discord server? I have a Discord server. Link to the Discord server is in the chat right now. If you'd like to join the Discord server, just click on that link. You'll find yourself on the landing channel called Say Hello. And in addition to Say Hello, you just have to say the secret word. The secret word will tell me, that you're not a robot. I've actually watched the stream and have thus earned the right. I've totally screwed. You know why I screwed everything up? Because I saw that Polly's in the chat. I saw that Polly was in the chat. And I thought to myself, oh, that's right, Polly's in the chat. I should say something about Polly. Polly screwed with my brain. Anyway, today's secret word is Polly. Just say, hello, Polly. And that's P-A-U-L-I-E. If you say, hello, Polly, like Polly want a cracker, I'll know that you're a robot. Anyway, just say, hi, Polly. Because there's a lot of triangles involved. And I'll know that you watch the show, and you've thus earned the right to join the Discord server. Speaking of which, again, at 11:30 p.m., it's 11:30 p.m., 11:30 a.m. Pacific Time, 2:30 p.m. Eastern Time, I'll be on the Latino Slant channel with Polly to be talking about stuff. Political stuff, maybe economic stuff, maybe labor stuff, I don't know. Who knows what he's going to throw at me? You'll have to find out later on. A couple late hellos here as I'm just seeing here. Faye Alex, good morning. Dexter's Killer Lab, good morning. And I don't know, did I miss anybody else? I probably did. I apologize. I said Spud Gun. Yeah, okay. Well, anyway, anybody that I missed, say, Tyr Alexander the Scourge. Vargy is too big to fit on your screen. Possibly so. But anyway, everyone, thank you so much for joining me. Moderators, thank you for keeping an eye on things. Even though everyone here is so well behaved, you have very little to do. Everybody who donated either to myself or to the GoFundMe's pinned to the top of the chat box. Thank you so much for your generosity. Very much appreciate it. You'll find me here again, at least scheduled for sure, on Thursday at 6 p.m. Pacific, 9 p.m. Eastern for TED Excellence. We'll take a look at another TEDx or TED Talk of some sort with Bingo. Tomorrow, I should, granted all things line up, I should be on Midnight's Edge in the morning to talk about movies and box office and entertainment, all types of stuff. And somewhere in this week, maybe tomorrow, maybe Tuesday, don't know yet, I will do a follow-up, a part 2, in looking at that panel discussion about the people actually fighting against DEI and what they have to say about their efforts in that realm to finish up from the insomnia stream from the other night. I think I've done all my housekeeping. Everyone, leave a like on the way out if you would. If you're not already subscribed, please subscribe and check me out at 11:30 p.m. or 11:30 a.m., 2:30 p.m. on Latino Slant Channel later this morning. Everyone, hope you have a good rest of your Sunday. Hope you have a good rest of your weekend. I hope you're all safe and well. If you're not well, please get well soon, and I'll see you on the next one. Take care. Bye-bye.